Hello all, welcome back to Learning Partner. If you are new, please do subscribe. This is another channel where you can directly connect with me. We have around 1,000 plus members already who are working. We take live coding sessions and everything. To just get notified about those sessions, please do join this group. So hi all. In this video, I'm going to complete a CRUD operation with obviously creating the basic CRUD API with ASP.NET also. So what we are going to cover is we will create a database again locally only. We will create a table. Then we will create a ASP.NET API core project. We have again like things like we have to create model, DBContext controller. Then we will write the basic CRUD APIs, and that whatever the API we will write it over here, that we will integrate in the our Angular app. Now, considering, let's say, you all know like what current market situation is, at least for now, but in coming days, it is going to be like that. Everyone is going to be asked to work as a full stack developer. Means you should be good with your UI also, and you should be good at least one technology you should know, either Java, .NET, Node.js, PHP, something backend technology by which you can create the API. So this is the market demand which is going to be there after, let's say, 6 months or 1 year. Again, this is because of AI, because with the help of AI, you can learn things very quickly. Even though you don't have very basic knowledge of the .NET now, still with using AI tool, you can actually develop all the API. We have, I don't remember exactly, but previous 1 month back, we have done the session where by using ChatGPT, we have created the whole API without knowing anything. Let's say you don't know C Sharp or don't know anything about .NET framework, but with the help of ChatGPT, you can completely develop your basic APIs. Okay. So, but in this video, we are not going to use Copilot. I will try to explain the things, why, what it is, why we have to write like this, and so that you can easily relate. Okay. So now the database I'm going to use locally. So I have SQL Management Studio. Let me open that. So you can install a SQL Express version, which is very lightweight, and Management Studio you need to access the video, so to access the particular database server. Let it open. So first we will create a database. Let's say a simple example student registration app we will create. So for that, this is my server name. Let me just copy this server name. This I'm going to need in my connection string. So over here, let's connect database. Let's create a database. So right click, new database. We can use a query also to create the database, create database and database name, but I'm using the GUI. Let's say student DB, just a database name I'm giving. On click of OK, my database should be created. You can see database got created. Now I have to create a table. So right click, new table. I can use the query also, that SQL query, create table, columns and all that. But just to save the time, I'm creating the table over here. Now we are going to create a student registration app. So every table, whenever you create a table, every table needs a primary key, right? So it's a student table. So we are going to have a primary key that will be student ID. If you're already working somewhere, so you know, like whenever we integrate the API, in every API object, you get some ID, right? If it is an employee ID, if it is a product ID, if it's a department ID. So those are nothing but your primary key. Okay. Data type will be integer. Like in Angular or in your JavaScript, how many data types we have? Just like that, in database also we have data type. If you have to store the integer type of data, int is there. Allow null. It is required. Now we have to add it. We have to make it as a primary key. So like this, I will make it. Then while inserting the data, I don't want to worry about what data has already inserted or not, because primary key expect unique data. So database will take care of that. Every time when we insert the data, database will increment all the record one by one. So that's why identity I'm setting it to 1. Then stud name. Now in JavaScript or in Angular, we have string. So here we have varchar to store string type of data. Mobile number, varchar. Let's say mobile number, it is going to be max 10 digits. So here you can add the validation. Only max 10 digit it will allow. Email. We can keep 50. City. Let's say 50. Now city, state are optional. You can see I'm making it allow as null. Checkbox is checked. So these are optional field. But ID, name, mobile and email, Stylistic is there. These are mandatory because I haven't allowed it null. Okay. Pin code. Now pin code can be maximum, let's say currently if we talk about India, so max 6 digit can be there. So here we add the validation. So if you're already working, like you add the validation, sometimes min length, max length. So those validation, whatever you add, normally API team will let you know, like these are the maximum value we can upload. So they also know because of the database. So from database only we set all the required validation, like what maximum number you can have and all that, right? Pin code, let's say address line 1. Now address can be maximum, right? So here I can say 2000 character. Address line 2. Varchar. Again, let's say 2000 characters. Fine. So this is my table for the student. Now let's save it. It will ask us the table name. Student master. So this is the table which I have created. Okay. Let's try to insert the data, or let me just run the query now. I'm opening a new query window. Select star from student master. Currently in our table, we don't have any data, so it should come empty. Now let's try to insert. Insert into student master values. Primary key we don't have to send. So after that, whatever information we have, that we will pass. How many information were there? Name, mobile number, email. Let's try. I'm giving my name, Chetan. Mobile number, email, chetan@gmail. Just I'm testing if we are able to insert the data. Then what do we have? City, state, and pin code. City, let's say Nagpur. State MAH, Maharashtra, pin code 112233 something. Then what do we have? Address line 1 and address line 2. Something near SBI ATM something. Comma. Bihar. Mandal. Fine. Now let's comment this and let's try to run the insert query. Execute. So you can see what we got in return, one row affected. Now if I run the query, select star, we should be able to see the data. See, whatever the data we inserted by this query, we are able to get. So database and table, we are able to insert and we are able to read it also. Now we have created the database. Our table is also created and table is working fine also. We are able to read the data and we are able to insert the data. Obviously update and delete also we can do. Now we will move towards the project creation for the API. So I have Visual Studio. So Visual Studio 22 I have. Let's open it. Now I have to create the project. Obviously, we are going to create an API only. So we will create the API project only. So click on the create new project. Now there are so many templates, like you can create mobile app, Blazor app, Windows application, just a web application also, and a web API also. So many things are there. So what we need, ASP.NET Core Web API template. So this is the full project type what we are needing. Click the template, or you can search it over here also, ASP.NET Core Web API. Okay. Now click on next. It will ask you to provide a name. Let's say student.api. Just a name I am giving. Where you have to keep this project. So by default, this C folder something is there. I'm just keeping that. Click on next. So again, like framework, what framework you want to do? Do you want to go with .NET also has various framework. Like in Angular, we have various versions, right? So just like that, .NET also have it. So current is that .NET 8.0 is the one. So we will go with that. Remaining thing again we can do, but we don't have to right now because we just want to focus on the CRUD application. So we don't have to do anything. Click on create. So it will create a basic empty web application project. Okay, this will be empty. We won't have anything. So this is the empty folder structure what you get. Now here we got program.cs, a controller folder with values, and we don't have anything. Now database is there. We have Web API project and we have Angular. From your .NET project, if you want to connect to your database, there is something mediator, that is entity framework. So by using entity framework, you connect to your database. So we have to install that. So go to the tools, NuGet package manager, and manage NuGet package manager for this solution. So what currently you can see, we don't have any libraries installed. Just like how we install the packages in Angular, na? Just like that. This is NPM only. Okay. Now what we need, entity framework. So entity framework core, we have to select the project. This is the package and click on install. This is similar to what we run by using npm install and command, right? In Angular, npm install and the package name, this is similar to that. And we need SQL. Let's try SQL. Install, accept. Yeah. And Swagger, we don't need it for now. So let's let it be installed. So we have installed entity framework core and the SQL because we are going to use SQL Server. So now in an empty project, we have installed our entity framework. Now next thing, in your app setting.json, you have to add your connection string. What is your database? Which database you are using, right? So that is the connection string. So this is how connection string look like. Okay. Now this is my server name, the local server name. Then what is the database name? What we created, that database name we need to pass, student DB. So this will be the database name. This will go over here. Then trusted connection, trusted certificate, true, multi-set action result, this will be there. So this is my connection string. Connection string, we put it into our app setting.json. Previously in older API project, we used to have web config. In web config, we used to keep the connection string. But after we got the .NET Core, so that web config thing is getting replaced by app setting.json. Fine. Now, so we created database, created table, that connection, database connection string we have added into our API project. Now in our folder, we have to create a model folder just to create our all the classes in a particular folder. Why model? Because in .NET we used to have that MVC framework. So model, view, controller. So now this is an API project. We don't have view, but obviously model and controllers are there. So controller. Now here first we have to create a DBContext class. So DBContext class is a class which is a representation or which is a equivalent class of a database. Okay. So let's add a new class. We are just creating a new C# class. Now the class name, let's say student DBContext. There are multiple approaches also to the entity framework, code first, database first, but this is very raw code I'm explaining. Okay. So a DBContext class we have created. It's a simple C# class. But now this class we have to override with DBContext, which again comes from your entity framework. Let it give it some time. It should suggest the import. Yeah, see, it is suggesting the import. This is using nothing but in our Angular, we have the import statement. Na? Just like that, here we have using. Now we need to create the constructor. So in TypeScript, like we write constructor and then inside that we can write. But in .NET also, in C# also, we have constructor, but that constructor will look like this. So see, it is already providing something IntelliSense. Okay, I will just accept it. Constructor in at least C# in constructor will have the same name as of the class name. Okay, we don't have DB set right now, so let's comment it. So we created our DBContext class. We created our connection string also. Now that connection string we have to connect to our DBContext class. So that we do into our program.cs class. So program.cs in builder. So here we have to register that our means our database class and our connection string we have to combine. So builder dot services dot add DBContext, and then you have to provide your DBContext class name. See, everything it is suggesting. I will just accept it. Okay. So now student DBContext. What is the class name? Student DBContext. So this class name we have to provide over here. Use SQL Server. Now, why it is not? Yeah, here also we need that. Now here you need to provide your connection string name. So connection string name, let me change student conf. Okay, this is my connection string. In one project, we can have multiple databases. So multiple connection string can be there. So this is my unique connection string name that I have to pass it over here. Meaning this is the DBContext class for my student database. So this is how we connecting it. Okay. Now, so we added a connection string, then DBContext class is also created. Now we will create one more class for our student. Student. Okay. Now this class will be connected to our particular table. Okay. Now here at the above, you can bind table and your actual table name. This is optional, but sometimes we keep our class name different and our table name is different. So this property allows you to bind this class to particular table from your database. So now our table name is, where is our table name? Student master. This is our table name. Then what number of properties you have created, how many columns you have created in your table, that many column you will create over here as a properties. Just copy. So prop student ID. Okay. So how many columns you have, that many properties you will create over here. What I basically said, ki this class will get connected to your table. What columns you have, that many properties you will create. What data type you have, that same data type you have to assign it over here. Student ID, then prop. This is just a shortcut, then student name. Now student name has varchar, so here it will be string. So now in Angular or in JavaScript also we have same thing over here. Now here we have to initialize it to empty. So string.empty. Let me just copy paste this now, then we will just change the properties. Student name, mobile number, email, city, state, pin code, address line 1, address line 2. So what number of columns we have, that many properties we have created. Now, while creating the database, we said the mobile number can have max 10 digit only. So that validation also we need to add it over here above this property. This is required. Then max length. How many max length? Max length 10 digit we have. Got it? Like this. Student name is also required. So all the validation comes from over here. Those who are already working, you might know, like once you click on save and there are some validation errors, so you get the array, right? So that how does it knows that you didn't pass the required validation? Because on the model we set it. Email, city, sorry, city is not required, right? So just name, mobile number and email are required. That's it, right? Yeah, on address line 1. So again, we can just like 5056, we can add the validation over here also. Okay. Just like this, we will add it. Now we created a model which is going to be connected with our database table. Now this model we have to register inside this particular DBContext class. So our student model, and we just create a object of it, you can say. So you created a class for the database. Now whatever the table are there and respective classes you have created, that you need to register to this DBContext class. Okay, because as I said, in your application there can be multiple database classes. Multiple database will be there, multiple DBContext will be there. So which class is from which database? So this is how you register. Fine. Now let's close everything. Now we can go and create a controller. So right click on the controller, add controller. Now we have to create the API controller. So click on the API, empty API controller I'm going. Everything code also you can get it automatically if you go with the default another way template. Student master. Let's click on OK. So empty controller it has created. Okay. Now we have to create our methods. Okay. But in this controller, we have to inject our what do we say? DBContext class. So private read only. Our DBContext class is student DBContext context. Then we need to create our constructor public student master. See, it is everything, it is IntelliSensing because I have that IntelliSense going on. So we have injected our DBContext class over here. This is, you can say, dependency injection from Angular, like one service you inject into another one class you inject into another component, right? Or whatever you service you create, you inject. So this is something like that. So this class you are injecting into a particular this class. Okay. Now CRUD API. So we need basically four methods: get, post, put, and delete. Okay. So very basic first we will create, that is the get one. Okay. So public, then from JavaScript you might know async and await, right? So let me just get this. See, this is very basic code. This is your simple get API. Public action result. This is a generic way. This is your method name. What you are doing from your database, for this table you are getting the list and you are simply returning it. Okay, let's go with this only. Then I will modify it. Okay, so this is your get API. So above this method, you have to add method or function, just like a normal function you can say. This is your get API. That's it. Let's try to run it first. Let's run this project. So from here, you can run it. Once I click on over here, my application will compile and it will run on particular port number. So again, like so many things we have to do when we do .NET and the Angular. So it will take time. Okay. Now our controller name. So API / our controller name was student master. So let's try. So you can see currently in the table, we just had one record. So see, you are getting the array of object. Let's insert the data over here again. So instead of Chetan, now I'm inserting Rahul. Okay, second record I'm inserting. Now again, if I hit this API, see, you got two record. So what number of record you have in your database that you are able to get. So this is very basic get API. It's look easy, right? This just 3 line of code, only 1 line of code. This is what actually getting the data from your database. So 1 line of code is able to get you the data from your particular table from your database, right? So this is your get API. Just like that, we have our post API also. HTTP post, public, action result, save, student. Why it's not suggesting now? Yeah. Okay. This is your save post API, means to save the data into the database. Okay. Just like that, put API, HTTP put. I will explain it. Let me just complete it first. Public action result, update, student, round bracket. Let's wait. Why it's not suggesting now? Let's try wait for some time. Not add. We need the update one. Okay. So for update, I will tell you like what we need to do. So for update, first you need to get the model. First, you need to get the record for that particular student. So where record is equal to underscore DB. See, it is now suggesting. So student dot, our property name is student ID. So this query is like from your database, you are trying to get the particular record matching the student ID. So if record is not null, what you need to do, you need to update the things. So this something update model is there. If it is there, so if it is null, else we need to update the model. Let's see if it suggests the code or not. It's not suggesting. Now, so one by one line we can update. So record dot name is equal to the new object student dot name. It will go like this. We will update all the properties. Sometimes we change something, right? Email. This is the model what you are going to get. Okay. And return. So just two fields I'm updating for now. Return OK. And I will return the record itself. Just like that, we can update all the properties. Email, city. This is your existing data and this is what you will get, the new data. Mobile, state, address line one. What number of properties you want to update, that you will add it over here. Address line one. Sometimes you might have seen key in update API, you can just update limited number of things. So this is how we allow it. Only limited number of fields also you can update over here. So this is your update API. Then delete API. So delete API is normally your HTTP delete public I action delete student by ID. Now we need the parameters. So int ID. When we delete, we actually we are going to, whenever we integrate this API, we are going to pass the ID, which ID we want, which student ID, student record we want to delete. So that ID we will pass it over here, right? So now again we need to get the data, right? So this is how we get the data. Existing record. So we will just pass the ID over here directly because we are passing the ID. Again, if statement, if record is not equal to null, we will delete it. So how do we delete it? So underscore DB, sorry, underscore context dot your model dot remove. And what model you want to remove, that you need to pass it your this object you want to remove. After that, db dot save changes, sorry, context dot save changes. So this will actually delete the record and return OK also. And if the record itself is not null, so we will pass the return not found in else. No found response. Like this object we will pass. Okay. So this is your basic CRUD API. This was your get API. This is the API to create new record. This is the API to update the existing record. This is the API to delete the existing record. Okay. Now only get API we were able to try on the browser. Now remaining API we have to integrate on the, we have to test on the Angular project. So in the Angular project, I have created a component student. It's an empty, just a normal project with Angular 20. Now here we have to do the CRUD operation. So now I might need the form. So I will use ChatGPT to design the form because it will take time, right? So I will ask ChatGPT to design the form for me. So I will say, this is my object, create a basic, what I need, just the basic CRUD UI, right? So basic CRUD UI design with Bootstrap. I need it with Bootstrap. I need in a single component, we are going to complete the CRUD operation. So use row and call 8 for table and call 4 for form. In each column, add card with PG warning color. That's it. Let's let it generate. Let's give it some time. Wait, why it is giving call for first in the form? Where is the table? Okay, and after that it is giving. So it has done vice versa. I need the table over here and that over here, but let's let it this. So let's copy. Now this HTML will go over here. So call it will be first because on the left side I need the list first, then I need the form. Save, save. Let's run the application. Localhost 00. Router outlet is not a known element. Why? App HTML router outlet is there in app.ts. Router outlet is here. Why it is saying like that? Let's see one more time. Slash student, the route name. Okay. So now you can see we got the basic UI. So you can see I asked it to just add a background color over here, but it has added in the T body also. We don't need it in the T body, our body. We just need it in the header. So over here only. But why it has added in T body? Okay, on the card only directly it has added. I need it over here. And same in the table also, instead of on the whole card, I need it in the heading only. Let's save. Okay, this is how I need. So you can see with 1 minute, sorry, not minute also, within some time we got our form ready. If you have to design this form, it would have taken at least 2 to 3 minutes, right? But these are the things which you can get it done with the AI. Not everything, right? The repeated work, the work which is not that much critical or something, and the repeated kind of work. So you can get it done by Copilot or ChatGPT. Fine. Now, so HTML we got. Now we will move towards the API integration. I will go with the template form because we just want to see if API getting, we are able to do the CRUD operation or not. So what I need first, the object I need. So let's get the object. We will create the object into our .ts student obj. I'm going with any. I'm not creating your class and interface. So let's go with any. So student ID by default we have to initialize with 0. This should be empty, empty. So empty object we created. Now first we will integrate the GET API. Okay. So on the page load, we need to integrate the GET API. So implement on init. Okay. Once we implement ng on it, we can use get all students. Now API call integration is there. So this is Angular 20 project. So in our app config, we have to add our provide HTTP client. So provide client I have added. This is for API integration. Okay. Now we have to inject our HTTP service. So HTTP is equal to inject HTTP client. So here this dot HTTP won't work. We will get the course error, but let me show you. So our URL will be this. Fine. So this will go over here. Obviously we need to subscribe. So dot subscribe from bracket result colon any. A simple way I'm going. Or let's use the new way. Subscribe from bracket next. This is your new syntax, okay? This is your success block and error block. This is your new syntax of writing your API call. If API is success, this block will execute. If there is something error, error block will execute. Let's add a debugger over here and same thing over here. Okay, on the page load, we just want to trigger this function. So this I will call it over here. let's say let's check if API call is getting triggered or not. Inspect. So let's reload. So you can see our error block is getting executed. So we are getting error, unknown error. Wait, some error should be there proper. So we wait, why it's not okay. Just a minute. Let's continue. And in the console, you can see we are getting a course error. See, saying this API we are trying to integrate from this port. So it is giving us course error. Now, course error is like from two different domains are there. One is on localhost 7239 and another is on 4200. So two different origins are trying to communicate with each other. So to allow it to communicate, we have to add on the API side, we have to allow it by using course policy. So we have to add the course policy over here. So in program.cs, we create our course policy. So by default, we have it. We just have to create a policy. So builder dot services dot add course. Now here we have to create our policy. So options. Semicolon is missing. Now here we have to create our policy. So option dot add policy. Now here we have to give the name. So you can say for suggesting, right? Yeah. So allow any origin, allow any method with origin, let's say 4200. This is the first policy we have created. Now this policy we need to add on our particular controller. So above here, square bracket use course or what is it? Enable course and the course policy we have created. So the policy name we have added over here. Let's stop and run it again. Still, I have managed to do it in a very quick time because I didn't explain so many of things. Wait, why we are getting error? Where it is one angle bracket is missing. Save, run. Now here, let's try to refresh again. 500. Now we have got 500. Why 500? Let's try to add the debugger over here first. Let's reload. Okay, API is not getting executed. Still, we got course error only. Wait, why? So we created course policy dot allow any header, allow any method. Do we need dot allow credential also? Let's try dot allow credential also with origin HTTP. Let's add HTTPS also. Let's try save. Okay, sorry. One more thing I have to add over here. After this, we need to write that app.use course also. It is before that or after that? App.use course. What's the policy name? Course policy over here. Let's try now. Again, one more thing, if you are new, please do like and subscribe so that you can get this notification of my new videos. So let's try reload now. Yeah, so now you can see debugger got activated. Let's debug it. Mhm. Mm. So now if I hover on this student, you can see two record we are able to see. Now same record, I'm returning it back. So once I continue, so see API call is success. So my debugger, why debugger is not executed? Did we disable it? Yeah. Let's reload again. API call triggered. Continue. See, in the result, you got the array. Got it? So our gate API is properly working. Now, whatever the data we got, that we will store it into a variable. So student list, again, I'm going with any, but class interface you can create. So whatever the result you got, that you will store it over here. This dot student list is equal to result. And this you will iterate over here. So here at the rate for loop on the student list. Let's put our tr over there. Format. Okay. Now here index. So dollar index we will pass. Name. So item dot stud name, whatever the property we have, that we will show it over here. Let me just copy paste. Then we will do the binding. Pin code. Then state. City. Email and the mobile number. Let's save. Student list does not exist, so let's save both the file. Let me remove the debugger now. So see, whatever the record we have in table, that records are getting displayed in our Angular application. So from your Angular app, request is going to the API. From API, it is getting the data from the database and again sending it back. And that's how we are able to see. Now the save operation we will try. So we created this object. Now this object we need to bind to our form also. So over here, so square bracket, round bracket ng model is equal to dot. What we need to bind it over here, student name. So I will just do the copy paste now. So I will search for this class because everywhere we need this, and I will replace with this. Just here it will get two times. So I will remove that. Let me remove this form tag. Otherwise, everywhere I have to add that name attribute. And since we are using ng model, so forms model we need to add student name. Now remaining properties I will bind mobile number, email, city, state, pin code, address line 1, address line 2. Fine. Now on click of the save button, we will call our API call function. So click on save stud. Let's create this function, and from this function we will integrate our API. Okay. So this dot http dot post API now. You need the URL. So again, URL will be same. Just our method name is changing. Now post API needs the object. So this dot student object. Again, dot subscribe will be the common thing. Just copy paste this. Once API call is success, we will call this function so that latest record will be visible over here. Okay. Let's try now. Let's add a debugger over here also so that we can see what data we are getting. And let's add a debugger in our save API also, post API. Where is it is getting identifier expected? Sorry, double two dots is there. Let's save. So currently we just have two record. Let's say Manav mobile number, city, Pune, MH, pin code, something. Okay. Now let's enable it on click of save. So now if you hover on this object, you can see whatever the data you filled into the form that you got it over here because of ng model. Let's continue. So once you continue, you can see API call got triggered. And here, whatever the data you pass, that you are able to get it over here. And this data we are asking to save it by using the add method and db.save changes. Continue. Your subscribe save success call got triggered. Now you can see student ID got generated. After save success call, you are again calling the get all student. So the latest record is visible over here. Got it? So this is how we do the CRUD operation. Just like that, update and delete APIs will also you will integrate. Okay, but I'm not covering that because you already know the API integration. So this is how we write the API. So the main point of it was, even you are an Angular developer or a React developer, now is not the time that you just stick to your Angular or the React. As market is changing, we have to be full stack. There is no other option, at least not now, but after 1 year, you can say every company is going to ask you to be a full stack developer. So if we compare with Java, .NET is relatively easy to learn, okay, and to explore. Java is relatively hard to explore and to learn also. So according to your knowledge and what at what level you have, choose your any backend language. Either Node.js is also fine because we know JavaScript, so Node.js is also relatively easy to understand, right? So choose your language and try to be a full stack developer. I hope this video was helpful. Again, this was very basic one, but as when I try to create the videos with .NET and Angular, it takes us so much time, right? So this video will be around 1 hour and 1.5 hours, right? So, but I will try to cover more videos, which combination with .NET and Angular. This was with very basic. Then sometimes we will try to find some uniqueness, server side filtering, file upload, right? So many things are there in the API also, email trigger. So we will try that single to multiple entities. So we will try to do all those things. Okay. Again, repeating, just do like it. If you are new, please do subscribe also. Thank you.